I feel like a fraud. I feel like a fraud because I'm considered a creative. My job is to create things. I make ice cream. But I don't feel creative. I mean, my life goal, I wanted to be a banker in Beijing. I love Mandarin. I was really good at calculus. And no point in my career going to school did anyone pull me aside and say, "You are creative." I didn't even know what that word meant. Now I'm here with my fellow creative directors. Can we put that on like LinkedIn? What does that mean? What does that mean? Do we direct creativity?
Yeah, baby.
So weird. It made me start thinking, what is creativity? Can you measure it? Are just a select few of us born with it, or does everyone have it? Does it only exist in art? Maybe that's why I never learned it in school. My talk dives into my journey with this word creativity. My idea is that everyone in this room deals with the same plight of a creative fraud, and that we can fight through that by coming to terms with the fact that creativity is not innate, it's not even tangible. Creativity is a practiced skill that all of us can learn and integrate in our day-to-day lives. So, when I think about my creative process, for me, the hardest part is just starting something. And you think about the thousands of experiences in our lives weighing down on us. I kind of think of it like a teeter-totter. On one side, you have insecurity. On the other, you have validation. And you can't have too much of the either or, because honestly, insecurity will just paralyze you, but too much validation will be just as bad. You'll be driven by your ego. For me, you can't get off the ground if you can't balance that beam. I've got two stories from the start of Salt and Straw that really drove me forward. The first is about the validation. I was 21, and my stepdad was sick. Melanoma. You know the most devastating part is that there's really nothing you can do, you know? The only way I could help was to start cooking. So I studied all the vitamins that he needed and made nutritious chicken nuggets. And I studied all the medicine and the herbs that he needed, and we made medicinal otter pops. And for just a few moments out of the day, my family would get together and eat something I made. It's only in retrospect can I see that that was a pivotal moment for me. Validation that something I created could bring a little joy in a time when there was really no reason to be happy. The second story is 22. It's about this idea of insecurity. It's 22 in a Seattle sticky bar sitting across from my then girlfriend. And I said, I quit my job today. I'm moving to Portland to start an ice cream company. And we should break up. But her response, are you kidding me? That is so stupid. Do you even know how to cook? What a surprisingly applicable question, Linda. I mean, I didn't know how to cook, but it's fascinating how a few words said and a few words not said can manifest themselves in this big, ugly monster. And for me, the validation from a year before kept me going forward. But those few words came awfully close to paralyzing me from ever getting in the kitchen. So, fast forward 8 years later. At Salt and Straw, I've created over 600 flavors of ice cream. Been named to Forbes 30 Under 30. And we are creating one of the most innovative brands in the country, predicated on constant, mind-bending creativity. But I still struggle with this word, creativity. I guess I just always imagined like a true creative, wakes up at 3 a.m. with these brilliant ideas, or is walking through the grocery store and sees immaculate art in the most random objects. That's not me. Really, it took me a while to come to terms with the fact that I can take the same skills that I practice throughout life, with language, with math, and apply it to this creative field. That sounds confusing, but it's so comforting to come to terms with that. So I think of it two ways. Creativity is logical and it's systematic. Logically, I've come up with a theory. And that theory is that no one is born more creative or less creative than anyone else. Some of us are confident. Some of us are underconfident. Some of us are overconfident. And that's okay. We're all faking it. You know what's cool is that logically, there's no reason I can't be a better fake than anyone else. The system of creativity. This is cool. Once you come to terms with the fact that creativity can be learned and practiced, it means there's a pattern. You can create your own step-by-step approach. So, I was trying to think of how to show a step-by-step approach. And I was thinking maybe I could run you through making an ice cream flavor. One of the biggest challenges of the year for me is making a Halloween flavor at Salt and Straw. So, let's try it. Step 1, draw boundaries. This is surprisingly important. All of us, I love creating in the blue sky. It's fun. But you have to come down to earth. If you don't, you're going to kind of end up with one of two results. One, it's going to be boring, like a pigeon. Or two, it's going to be super esoteric, like a pterodactyl. I actually once made a crab roll Neapolitan, and it was really, really bad. Seems obvious in retrospect. So let's draw boundaries for our Halloween ice cream. First, it must be frozen. Easy. Second, I want an ice cream that's kind of like eerie, spooky. How about an ice cream that's experiential, kind of gives you chills? And fourth, wild card. The menu should be written from the perspective of Dracula's grandmother. And once I put those rules in place, your mind starts running, right? I've got like zombies and spiders and ghosts. Which brings us to number 2. Reshape the question. So here's the deal. All these ideas in your head, it's not that they're bad per se, it's just that they're probably subpar. I'll give you an example. Maybe my first idea is, I want an ice cream based on a ghost that has a little bit of chocolate in it. It's fine. I think I've had that at like Baskin Robbins, maybe. It's good. It's not creative. So let me reshape that a little bit. Let's say I want an ice cream that gives you the sensation of eating a ghost. Gives you chills on the back of your neck, makes your skin crawl a little bit. Reminds you a little bit of your grandfather. That's a cool flavor, right? Thinking like a mentholy, stark white ice cream with a wisp of black cocoa, a hint of cheap scotch. Brings us to step 3. Bravely believe. So you know what the question in all of your heads is? It's that, who is going to want to eat an ice cream based off of my dead grandfather? And that's a good question, actually. It would be ridiculous to fearlessly trudge forward without stepping back to think about that. But bravely believing. Elizabeth Gilbert in her book, Big Magic, talks about this really beautifully. Her point is that to bravely believe is not the same as to live without fear. The fearless are sociopaths, run off a cliff without looking. But a brave believer, they'll look at all the dangers in their way. They'll look at the hurdles they need to overcome, and they'll still keep going. To me, a brave believer hears the haters, hears the doubters, takes value in their criticism, and still says, fuck it, I'm going to bring this ghost to life. Criticism, especially self-criticism, just destroys your innovation. And that's something I deal with every single day. And while acknowledging that is half the battle, let me leave you with a game plan for the second half. First, find a way to balance your insecurity versus validation and just start something. Second, come to terms with the fact that no one is born creative. If you tell yourself, I'm not creative, stop it. Creativity is 51% confidence and 0% innate. And third, find a system. Use mine to start creating something. Knowing that creativity can be learned and practiced is a powerful way to live. And bravely believing in that creativity can be life-changing. Thank you.